Esther Hicks has a phrase that she uses about you just keep leaning in that direction as best you know at any given moment. It's cumulative. And it's really has started to happen that it's gotten so exciting lately where just good things keep happening. People keep coming out of the woodwork. I have an appointment come up that I really needed to go and do the filming for my video for my website, which will be up in a couple of days. And a client canceled that day, just when they needed to have me there. Well, he's going to come back, so that was okay. But I'm getting used to coincidences like this. They just keep happening now, and it is really exciting when you've had a life where things just seem to consistently not work. And that's what I love to do, is help people get curious about that. And the challenge for me, of course, is to reach into each person and find out what moves them. Because I can't tell them what to do. I can't say, well, I can see clearly you should move in this direction. But when I can find the thing that's their hot button, that starts to move them in their own way, and then get behind and help, then it starts to get really fun. And that's what I love to do.
So let's talk a little bit more specifically about your practice and how it works, and how, what does it look like for a person that's contacting you? What can they hope to achieve, and what does it look and feel like?
Well, I suppose there's a lot in common with just about anybody who does counseling or therapy work. The first thing somebody would be is give me a call. They'd find me perhaps on the web. Come and see me for an initial session, and I'll see what the issue is. And if I feel I can help, fine. If I haven't, I got lots of contacts. I can suggest people that might be more help for where they're at. Then I'll give some feedback. And it's a fascinating process because I've only got that 1 hour to make that connection. You're sitting here doing an interview, you got to make the connection with me. I got 1 hour for a person to open up and tell me the worst problems of their life and the most private issues. And it's a really fascinating process to help them feel secure enough to do that. And then I get a sense of where do we start, and make a suggestion how we could begin. Usually always people would work with me individually. It depends on where they're at, sort of on the spectrum. If they're really coming from trouble, then it's sort of like conventional therapy sessions and that kind of thing. But if they're coming more where they're really just kind of discontented, they really want to open their life up, they're not blown all over the place and unstable and unhappy, but they're just in a state where, I want more from my life. I want to be able to create more. Well, then we tune into that. We might work with it differently. There might be group work that comes from that, where people support each other. That's a wonderful thing when you get folks together. I'm doing a training program now for law of attraction for folks who said they really want to work on some issues for their life. One of the fun ones is finding a relationship.
Wow.
That's really interesting because everybody wants to have the perfect relationship.
Right.
And of course, they've got to go through the work in themselves, because you will attract the person who is where you're at. You unhappy with any parts of yourself, better do some work so you don't attract that.
Right.
So first you have to become perfect, and then you can attract a perfect mate.
Well, close. You don't have to be perfect, no.
No.
But you're going to get who is at the same level that you're at with your life, and the same sense of accomplishment, the same sense of focus on joy, that kind of thing. You're going to tend to attract the same energy to you. It's quite fascinating because, they say these things and it sounds so glitzy. And I think The Secret did a wonderful job of opening this stuff up. And some people say, well, it's too focused on material things. Well, they got to get people's attention, right? I personally believe it's got to be very spiritually grounded. And I think that's really, really important to give it perspective. I don't even think it works very well without that. And certainly that's where I like to come from with it. But if people start to really seriously decide to check it out, really work with it and work with themselves, it can't do any harm but to get better and to have a life where they can. It is such an exciting feeling when you start feeling things opening up. Oh my God,
It is, and it snowballs from there.
Yeah.
You feed it the good energy and you're excited, so it brings more of that. So are you practicing this as a counselor or as a psychotherapist right now?
Well, you know what? The terms in some ways are almost interchangeable because, the word counselor almost has no meaning anymore because it could be anything from a high school guidance counselor to an addictions counselor. So you really have to, sometimes I call myself a life learning counselor. A friend of mine used to use that title and I kind of liked it. At this point, actually, I'm not really sure how to call myself because, somebody asked, what do you do? I said, well, I believe in people till they can believe in themselves. That's what it's about.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I love doing that.
So you clearly just use some of your techniques
All
from
of them.
being, and you add your own experiences to it?
Yeah. And the thing that I really, really want to do very, very strongly, a lot of what therapy is about, there's a lot of dependence that can happen in that where people start to depend on the therapist. I really want to deliver the tools to someone else so they depend on themselves. Even no matter how disturbed somebody is, they've got the wisdom.